All right, guys, we start a new week and a new month. It's March 1st. And on this March morning, I have a story for you that's about accountability. And it deals with, it looks like two police departments in Colorado that accountability lies in their own home. In other words, it's like when you have that bully at school and he's beating everybody up. He's just a bully, and his parents go, "Come on, he's probably being picked on. He's a good kid at home." That's what these police departments are doing, I believe. Let's look at it. Thank you to the Denver Post for the story. Aurora Police followed departmental protocol after Elijah McClain died in their custody in August 2019. The chief promised transparency and called in the team of Denver and Aurora detectives normally used to investigate police shootings. The detectives conducted an investigation and turned it over to the district attorney. Aurora Police Chief Vanessa Wilson said last week there were more than just the Aurora Police Department's eyes on this investigation. So what it sounds like, and I'm going to keep on reading here, is that she said, well, Aurora Police Department wasn't the only one who had their eyes on this investigation. No, the Denver Police Department, police. Denver PD isn't going to find wrongdoing with Aurora PD. Come on. And then they turn it over to the district attorney. Who does the district attorney work for? The cops. This went wrong all the way through. The DOJ should have investigated this. Let's move on. Yet the initial criminal investigation led by Aurora police detectives into how police officers treated McClain was deeply flawed and stretched the record to exonerate the officers. An external review of the case found. The report's findings released last week have prompted questions about whether the system used by Colorado law enforcement to investigate police shootings and other killings by officers effectively prevents bias and corruption. Unlike many other agencies on the Front Range, Denver and Aurora Police are able to investigate serious injuries and killings by their own officers. Their arrangement, which was used to investigate McClain's death, is unusual in a state where statute mandates that investigations be completed by multi-jurisdictional teams. Many jurisdictions interpreted the law to mean there should be little to no influence by the agency involved, and the lawmaker who pushed for the statute believes the arrangement between Aurora and Denver is not in the spirit of the law. Nick Mitchell, a former independent monitor who oversaw the Denver Police and Sheriff Departments from 2012 until January 4th, says, quote, "There was only one McClain report, but we know that the Aurora Police Department has been involved in other serious high-profile incidents. It begs the question of how well the accountability system works. It's unclear what ramifications the findings of the report will have inside the Aurora Police Department. Vanessa Wilson wouldn't say whether the detectives who conducted the investigation will be disciplined or whether there is a broader review of the previous fatal force and police shooting investigations they conducted. She said she will work with the two district attorneys with jurisdictions in Aurora to ensure similar problems don't happen in future fatal force investigations." Vanessa Wilson said whether that means we step back and give the lead to another agency or have the district attorneys investigate themselves, lots more conversations have to happen. Now, Colorado legislators in 2015 passed a bill that required all police departments, sheriff's offices, and district attorneys to create multi-agency teams to investigate police shootings, both fatal and non-fatal. The signed act stated, further, including outside agencies in an investigation promotes and encourages a level of transparency and objectivity that provides increased credibility to the final outcome. Finally, including outside agencies eliminates any biases, whether real or perceived, which in turn strengthens public confidence in the outcomes of such investigations. Now, why am I laughing? Because it says it strengthens public confidence. Not when you have Denver PD investigating officers in the Aurora PD. You think they're going to find those cops wrong? No. You need the DOJ, or maybe, I don't know if state police would be non-biased, but come on. They have one police department investigating another police department going, well, we have multi-agencies going on. Yeah, it's like having a Crip investigate another Crip section and saying, hey, man, they didn't do nothing wrong. You know what I mean? It's like having the Bloods from California maybe investigate Bloods from Chicago or New York or New Jersey and going, they didn't do nothing wrong? Come on. Colorado law enforcement agencies implemented that statute differently. Most jurisdictions created teams of investigators from several agencies, and many large jurisdictions like Boulder, Larimer, Weld, Jefferson, and Adams counties forbid officers from the agency be investigated to participate in the process, which goes beyond the requirements outlined in the statute. The 18th Judicial District, which includes Arapahoe, Douglas, Lincoln, and Elbert counties, does not allow the lead investigator to be from the agency under investigation and only allows staff from the agency involved to work on the investigation at all if there are not enough people from other employers. But Denver and Aurora do not participate in a team of multiple agencies and instead work solely together along with district attorney staff to investigate police shootings. The lead investigator on the case can be from the agency involved in the shooting or use of force, as in the investigation into McLean's own death. Both Denver and Aurora's protocols state homicide detectives from their own agencies will lead the criminal investigations into the conduct of their fellow officers. Senator John Cook, a Weld County Republican and former sheriff of the county, said the spirit was to have an outside agency pretty much be the lead of the investigation. Now, although McLean was not shot, Aurora's then chief, Nick Metz, opted to call upon the Denver-Aurora team to investigate McLean's in-custody death. But the lead investigator on the case was still an Aurora Police detective, Matt Ingwe. The report singled out how Ingwe asked questions of 3 officers who stopped, tackled, and choked McLean, and said the detective used leading questions to elicit phrases that support an officer's case for using force. So basically, this detective asked them leading questions where they said, see, use of force we needed use of force in this situation, and unfortunately, he died. No, they killed the guy. It was basic homicide. And they used like I said, they used a Crip to investigate a Crip. It's a gang. That's what I said over the weekend. Law enforcement is a gang. It's not an employment. It's not an occupation. It's a gang. You get into the gang or you don't get into the gang. Just to sum this up in a little box for you guys to present it to you is they came up with this bill to have multi-agencies investigate these use of force incidences, particularly where someone is killed or dies. And Denver and Aurora think that since they're Denver and Aurora, that's a multi-agency, and that they can go ahead and just those two can investigate each other because it's that's not how it works. It's not the spirit of the bill. It's not what they meant. When they said multi-agency, they meant outside. But then again, when you get police investigating police, what do you got? What do you got? Very rarely do we see convictions. I just watched last night, as a matter of fact, the Amber Geiger trial. It was on TV, on the Justice Trial TV channel, or whatever that channel is. On Samsung TV Plus. But we got Amber Geiger. She got 10 years. But what I'm saying is very rarely do we see that where a law enforcement officer is convicted. A lot of times they'll say, well, it was, justified use of force. And to use a detective from that department to investigate his buddies. They shouldn't even use internal affairs from that department. Internal affairs should go through another agency. That's a joke, too. Internal affairs, that's a joke. Internal love affair. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Community Leo Watch, watching Leos. That's law enforcement officers, to include those idiots in Colorado and from coast to coast.